What if I told you that the Bible was not just teaching how to be a good person, but it was also teaching you how to control your reality? There is a pattern hidden in the Bible that most people read past their life. It's the same pattern behind every miracle, every breakthrough, and every rise from nothing. I myself came from a third world country where I absolutely had nothing. Now I'm here. I retired my mom, went from only having $8 in my bank account to $60K in 3 months, bought my dream car, and started this YouTube channel. The reason you have mastered reality is because your mind is out of control. Your environment gave you limits before God gave you vision. Fear spoke to you before faith had a voice. You got rejected a few times, and now you start to identify with that. Romans was dead serious when it says, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Why is that? Because your mind is just a projection of the reality you live in, and until you fix it, it will never change. There are biblical principles on how to change reality, and once you understand those, you finally see why trying harder was never enough, why positive thinking alone never worked, and why your life kept pulling you back into the same patterns even when you wanted something different. There will be 3 key Bible principles we're going to talk about. By the end of this video, you understand why God never designed you to beg life to change. He designed you to govern from the inside out. And if you're wondering who am I help people from consistently failing in business, career, or relationship by applying manifestation principles from the Bible. Especially if you try your best, but it still doesn't work. The first principle is found in the story of the 3 kings in the desert. There are basically 3 kings. They're on their way to conquer another kingdom. On their way there, when they were in the desert, they ran out of water. So they asked the prophet Elisha, please ask God, what should we do? Elisha got in direct contact with God. So the message was somewhere between the line of, y'all will not see wind or rain, but y'all gotta make this desert full of ditches. So what they did is they didn't question the message. Even though they had no proof, they started digging ditches all over the desert. And the next morning, it started raining. And eventually, they got the water they needed. They were able to keep marching and they took over the kingdom. The concept behind it is you always need to expect the best in the worst. Have expectation even if you have no proof, even if there is no slightest chance of it happening. You may think that you have no chance of having a girlfriend or a boyfriend or a husband or a wife. Well, you need to expect it even if all odds are against you. You may be broke or you may be stuck at a certain revenue ceiling. You need to expect making more than you have right now in order to bypass that stage of your life. Let's say in the worst situation of your life, you need to expect the best for you. That's only then that you're gonna be able to get out of that place or that situation. Expectation without proof is the key. That's the concept behind this story. Always expect the best, even in the worst, because that's only then that you're gonna be able to get out of it. If you're already in the worst, but you're still expecting the worst, it's just gonna get worse. There's just no way. The only thing you can do once you're down bad is to control your mind, is to see a better future. That's the only way. If you're down bad and you decide to relate with that current situation, you're gonna stay there. Because there's one thing I need you to understand. It's the concept of finite versus infinite. Your mind, by design, is finite. You cannot see everything through your lens. But God's mind is infinite. That means that He can literally get you out of any situation you find yourself in. Just because you don't see a way out doesn't mean that there is no way out. To your finite mind, yes, there is no way out. But to the infinite mind, yes, there is always a way out. God has infinite amount of solution for any of your problems. All you have to do is tap into it. And the only way you tap into it is coming to the understanding that your own mind is finite. The only thing you need to understand is God's mind is infinite. Even if you cannot see anything happening good, if you put your trust in the infinite power of God, eventually you find a solution to your problem. That's what the Bible talks about when it says, the Father within, He does the work. It's because you do nothing. All you have to do is to trust Him, and then eventually He will bring out of that situation. Another Bible verse too. With man, this is impossible. With God, all things are possible. Why it is impossible for you? Because your mind is finite. God's mind is infinite. So eventually with you, it's impossible, but with God, it's possible. Everything is possible. It's totally normal for you to not understand how you're gonna get out of the situation you're in right now. And that should be a relief because you're man and God is the one that is gonna fight the battle for you. All we have to do is to trust Him. In Thor's verse, the concept behind it is finite versus infinite. And I'm not one of those people that just gonna tell you that you need to trust God and then like some random stuff just gonna happen in your life. Yes, in a way it will, but the real way it's gonna happen is you're gonna get intuition. It's from your intuition that you can start to take action, and only then your reality will change. But it all starts with trusting God. It all starts by understanding that your mind is finite and God's mind is infinite. Every time you think that you don't know how to do it, or it's too big for you, or it's out of your league, tell yourself, yes, for me, it's normal to think like that. But for the God that is within you, He will make a way, even if you don't know how yet. There are so many possibilities, He's gonna make it happen for you. That's why it's so hard for you to conceptualize which path are you gonna take. And again, I'm always gonna take myself as an example. I came from a third world country, Madagascar, one of the poorest countries of the world. I didn't like the way I grew up, but I never decided to relate to that environment. I always expected the best, even if my environment was not showing what I wanted. That's the only way I got here. There's literally 2 oceans and 2 continents separating the country I was born and the US. Back then, if I didn't expect that I would make out of it, I would never be here right now talking to you. Even when I was here, by the end of each month, I only had $8 in my bank account. I would have never gone to 60K if I never had a better expectation for my life. And I could have never guessed how God's gonna make things work. But eventually He did. Why? It's because my mind is finite. God's mind is infinite. As long as you trust Him, you're gonna have the right intuition. As soon as you have the right intuition, you can start to take action. Now your reality will change. Because, understand this, your mind has 3 components. Your limited mind, the subconscious mind, and the superconscious, which is unlimited. When Adam and Eve, they were in the garden, they were in direct alignment with God. They were in resonance with the superconscious mind. As soon as they ate that apple, they got the mind. But God did not punish them forever. God did not separate us from Him forever. He still gave us a bridge that we need to take. That bridge is the subconscious mind. The only language of the subconscious mind is emotion. As long as you feel good, even in the worst, you're gonna reach the superconscious. Because your mind, let's say here, you're down bad, right? If you're able to feel good, even if here you're down bad, eventually you're gonna reach the superconscious. The superconscious is the infinite mind. It's the mind that knows everything. The message comes from here, and then you go through your mind. And then from there only, you can take action. If you just operate from your normal mind, you're gonna face a lot of struggle. But if you decided to use the power that are outside of this third dimensional world, eventually, you will tap into the infinite. Once you tap into the infinite, all the possibility exists. And the answer to the problem, that's exactly where it's at. It's at the superconscious mind. Your way to the subconscious mind is through your subconscious mind. And the way you use your subconscious mind is by consistently having the right emotion. How do you have the right emotion? You have the right emotion by having expectation, even if there is no proof or no slightest chance of it happening. Because it's normal for your mind to be limited and to not understand what's going on. But for God's mind, which is infinite, He can do everything. The battle is God, not yours. With man, this is impossible. With God, all things are possible. The Father within, He does the work, not you. All you have to do is feel the emotion and watch. The superconscious gonna reach your intuition. As soon as you get that intuition, now we can start to take action. But the problem is most people, when they're down bad, they're trying to take action right away. And the problem with that, you're taking action from the wrong intuition. So eventually, you still end up in the same reality that you're in right now, regardless of how hard you try. You need to tap into higher powers. You need to tap into the infinite mind of God, which is the superconscious. You go through that with the subconscious. And the subconscious is nothing more than your emotion. This is how I was able to get off my country. This is how I was able to retire my mom. This is how I was able to go from $8 to $60K a month in just 3 months. And I walk my clients through the exact same process. It's not complicated. You just gotta understand that the Bible is not just a book full of beautiful stories. It's also filled with a lot of wisdom. It's also filled with a lot of codes on how to solve your reality. As me, I spent 10 years of my life just studying the Bible. It didn't lead me nowhere until I tapped into the esoteric. It's only from the esoteric that I understood the Bible. Because trust me, the Bible is hard to read. I read it 13 times. If you read it before, you know what I'm talking about. And it's always hard to understand what's really going on. That's why I had to tap into outside knowledge. But in my country, growing up, it says that any knowledge outside the Bible that talks about reality creation is demonic. That's why I didn't touch any other book. And that's why exactly my life didn't change. It's because I had no outside explanation of what was going on. But you don't need to study the esoteric to understand all of this, because I'm already showing you what's really behind it. But anyway, let's go to the next point. The next Bible concept we're gonna talk about is from Psalms 55:22. It says, "Cast your burden on the Lord and He will sustain you." That just means that whatever problem you have, you need to cast it to God. And guess who was the best at doing this? Jesus Christ. Every time Jesus Christ performed a miracle, that's what He did first. He didn't question what He was seeing. He cast it right away to the Lord, and the Lord was just expressing Himself through Him. This is nothing more than to say that you need to go from the third dimensional world, which we are right now, to the fourth dimensional world, where Jesus was operating. As soon as Jesus came down on this earth, He was operating into the fourth dimensional world. And the fourth dimensional world is nothing more than the world that is above our world. You gotta understand that we live on 3 planes of existence: spiritual, mental, and physical. This is the physical world. This is the last level of creation. And there are levels above it where creation actually happened, and it's in the mental and the spiritual. So for example, when Jesus was resurrecting Lazarus was dead. In the third dimensional world, he was dead. But on the fourth dimensional world, he was alive. That's where Jesus resonated emotionally right away. He said, "Thank you, the Lord, that you always heard me." And then guess what? Lazarus, which was dead in the third dimensional world, he got raised, because in the fourth dimensional world, he was never dead. That's exactly how you need to tap into the fourth dimensional world. You do it by judging with righteous judgment. That's what the Bible is talking about. The fourth dimension is where everything is perfect. All the reality are already created. It's just gonna be up to you to choose which one. When Lazarus was dead, Jesus didn't relate to that. He was like, "Nah, I'm gonna revive him, watch." He went to the fourth dimension, boom, he got resurrected. Same as when Jesus turned the 5 loaves of bread and fish to feed 5,000. In the physical world, in the third dimensional world, there was only 5. How are you gonna feed 5,000 with 5? Doesn't make sense, right? Because it's in the third dimensional world. In the fourth dimensional world, it was already unlimited. So that's where Jesus stopped right away. And as soon as he did that, what happened? He was able to feed the 5,000. This is exactly how he was able to turn water into wine. In the third dimensional world, it was water. On the fourth dimension, he decided it was wine. So guess what? By tapping into the fourth dimension, he was able to turn wine into water. He was able to feed 5,000 with just 5 loaves of bread and fish. He was able to resurrect Lazarus from the dead. And he came down on this earth not only to be worshipped, but he came also here to teach you this. And that's what most people miss in the Bible. They say that you need to be a good person, otherwise you'll never reach heaven, not knowing that this is actually the main key what Jesus came down for, to teach you how to tweak your reality. But a lot of people are not ready to hear that, because when you go to church, like me, back when I was a kid, I really wanted to change my reality. And I spent so many years studying it, and it didn't make sense to me. They were all telling me that I'm gonna get compensated in heaven. And yes, if you have a good life, you don't really care. But when you see your family suffering, when you see your mind working tirelessly, job after job, when you see everybody around you starving, it's really hard to just accept that you're gonna be compensated in heaven. It doesn't make sense. But once you understand this information, now you start to understand what Jesus was talking about. This is why it says, seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all these things shall be added to you. The kingdom of God is within you, and the kingdom of God represents heaven. Heaven is nothing more than the fourth dimension, when everything is perfect, and you don't have to die to go to heaven. You just have to feel the right emotion, and watch, you'll be in heaven. Watch, you too will gonna be able to turn what you do not have into something. This is how you perform miracles. You resonate in the fourth dimension, not the third dimensional world. But there is a way to do it. You can just do it deliberately. Like, I'm gonna decide to go to the third dimension, and you're gonna be in the fourth dimension. There's actually a technique to do it. I will show you. But first, there's a Bible verse that you understand, and it says, be still and know that I'm God. The technique is actually from this. Be still just means that you need to reach brain waves where your brain is into relaxation. The closer you are to those brain waves are when you wake up and just before going to sleep. That's where you're still, and that's where you're the closest to hearing God. So the technique is basically you need to be still in order for you the message of God. And the way you do it, you just sit in complete silence. I'd say at least 30 minutes. Sit in complete silence for whatever problem you have in your life. Sit in silence, close your eyes, and just do nothing for 30 minutes. That's the technique. And trust me, your emotion will calm down, and one way or another, you're gonna get the intuition from God. And that's the only way you find your intuition, by being in complete silence and doing nothing and closing your eyes for 30 minutes straight. After 30 minutes, you're either gonna feel good or you're gonna find a solution to your problem. And if it doesn't, you try again tomorrow, and then you try it again and again and again until you get that intuition, because that's the only way you're gonna be in contact with God. You cannot be in contact with God if you're always distracted, if you're watching Netflix, if you're scrolling on social media, if you're playing video games. Those, you can do those, yes, sure, but once you need to be in contact with God, once it comes to solving your problem, you need to be in complete silence for at least 30 minutes. Do nothing. That's the key. And then from there, you get the answer that you're seeking for. Remember, God's mind is infinite. So that's where you're gonna get the answer from, not from your mind, not from normal mind. So that's the technique. Remember this verse, be still and know that I'm God. This is the verse you need to remember, and this is the techniques behind it. For example, for me, there was a point of time where I only had $8 in my bank account, right? Me and my brother, we were always on the verge of getting evicted. Sometimes we wouldn't have food. Sometimes even if I work like 15 to 18 hours a day, I was still not able to make enough money. But I never decided to be disappointed about it, because every time those emotions start to cloud my mind, I would just sit in complete silence for at least an hour. When I was done bad, I was doing this for an hour. Now I can just do this like 15-20 minutes, I can go on about my day. But when I really had like problem, I was doing it for an hour, 2 hours, just to try to hear the message from God. And eventually I received it. That's exactly why I'm not broke anymore. And for you, let's say you're in a good financial situation, right? So I'm gonna take another example. Let's say you go through a breakup. What most people do when they go through breakups, they distract themselves right away. They distract themselves with other girls, they distract their way with other guys, they drink, they party, they try to forget about it, but it doesn't work like that. The thing is, like, if you ignore your problem, trust me, they're gonna come back even stronger. when you're not distracted. So the way you deal with that, you sit in complete silence, you close your eyes, you give it to God, you cast your burden, you go to the third dimensional world where it's absolutely perfect. The only way you can go there, by closing your eyes and going inside within you. That's where you're gonna find God. You're not gonna find him in the sky, or in a book, or in school, or even here on YouTube. If you landed on this video, it's probably your state of consciousness that told you to come here. And this is exactly the way you cast your burden. Whatever problem you have, sit in silence with it. Don't try to fight your thoughts. There is a Bible verse that says, resist not him that is evil. Whatever you're going through, whatever type of situation, don't resist it, embrace it, immerse yourself in it. And I guarantee you, at a certain point, you will reach neutrality, because the God's mind is more powerful than any of your problem. If you put your problem above God, that's absolute disrespect. But you gotta know that God has a solution for every single one of your problems. So what you need to do is cast your burden. Immerse into the problem until it reaches neutrality. As soon as it reaches neutrality, now you're gonna be able to go to the fourth dimension where everything is perfect. But you can only reach that if you go through this process. Be still and know that I'm God. That means he's within you and he got the solution for everything. And the only way for you to be in contact with him, you gotta reach those brainwaves. That's what I mean by be still. You reach those brainwaves of relaxation, and those are the one close to sleep. And then eventually, you're gonna be able to go to the fourth dimension. And that's where everything is already perfect. That's where Jesus was able to perform miracles non-stop. Me personally, the way I do it, as soon as I wake up, I go to the gym, and then after the gym, that's when I do this process. And let's say you have no time during the day. I'm sure you have time in the morning. As soon as you wake up, spend at least 15 minutes thinking about your dream life. That's it. As soon as you wake up, think about dreaming. Just before you go to sleep too, don't fall asleep with your phone. Fall asleep by thinking about the reality you want, because that's when you're closest to God. And if you keep going to the fourth dimension where everything is perfect, when the reality you want already exists, eventually you're gonna get there. Eventually it will come to the third dimensional world. It's from the fourth that you took the third. I added this verse, I said it previously, that whatever you're going through, face it right away. Face it with your mind first. Give it to God. Cast your burden. And then eventually, trust me, he will get you out of it. And the problem is, if let's say something negative happened into your life and you're trying to tell yourself positive thing right away, even though the negativity is still there, it will never work. It's like a big jump. Going from negative to positive, it requires a lot of mental energy. But the way you do it, you start with the negative, something bad happened to you, and then you sit in complete silence for at least 30 minutes. During those 30 minutes, if you keep thinking about the negative, trust me, the negative will lose its power, because you gotta give it right away to God. The more you let those emotions consume you, the more you immerse yourself into the emotion, you're gonna be brought back to the central. Once you're in the middle, that's only then that you can start to think positive. Now you can start to imagine the way you want your reality to be. And that's only then that you're gonna go to the positive. And the positive is nothing more than the fourth dimension. Even if in reality nothing is showing, you still have that capability of going to the fourth dimension to alter the third dimension. That's exactly how you unstock your life. That's exactly how you go to the next level. That's exactly how you do the impossible for you. Take a screenshot, but please cut me off when you do it. I don't want to be in your phone, on your PC or anything like that. But this board is not for me, it's for you, so that you can have a summary of what I was saying. Now, if you are just pointing this, I'm sure you understand what it means. And the thing with those type of information, you're gonna like it now, but you're gonna forget it later if you don't consistently keep remembering yourself about it. So let's go to the next point. The last Bible verse we're gonna talk about is from Isaiah 55:8. It says, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways." That means that I'm sure you have your way of solving your problem, right? And 9 times out of time, your way always fail. That's what God means by my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways. God has so many possibilities to solve your problem. And just because the way you thought you're gonna solve your problem didn't work, doesn't mean that your problem is not gonna be solved. Because God has so many ways to solve it. But the problem is, again, your mind is limited. That's why, even if you think you do the right thing, it will still go wrong. But God don't want you to be down when it goes wrong. He wants you to understand that He has His own ways. It's really hard to understand from the human mind how God operates. That's why He is God. So don't beat yourself up if you thought that the way you're gonna make money is through this or through that and it didn't work. All you have to do is just cultivate the emotion and eventually get the right intuition, and in one way or another, you will get the solution. Even me, the way I wanted to make it out was by being a professional boxer. But I got a spine injury which completely destroyed my career. Of course I was devastated, but that did not stop me from believing in God, because I knew the exact meaning of this verse, which is, for my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways. My way was, I'm gonna become a professional boxer and then I will get out of the country and then I will make a lot of money as soon as I arrive here. But it didn't happen like that. And yet, I'm still here. That's what God is talking about, that all you have to do is trust Him, even if the way you think you're gonna do things go soft. You still gotta trust Him because His way is always better. Now I have a better life than I could have ever imagined. And that is without fighting other people. Because my goal is, yeah, I will fight a lot of people once I will turn pro, but God completely destroyed that dream. He put me on another path. And the path I'm in right now is 100 times way better than the one I expected back then. It's better than the way I conceived it. Why? It's because my mind is limited. God's mind is unlimited. Even if my way doesn't work, He will always have a backup option. And His backup option is always better because it's straight from the infinite. When you tap straight from the infinite, nothing can go wrong. Everything you do will always go right, and it will always be 10 times better than what you thought. Because let's say this is you right now, and this is the version of yourself that already has everything. This is the one in the fourth dimensional world. This is the one that already has the perfect life you want. And you may think, in order for you to get there, you may need clients, you may need a business, you may need money, you may need a happy relationship to be able to get there. Not knowing that if you jump straight there, it's that version of yourself that's gonna tell you exactly how you're gonna get the things in the middle. You gotta bypass the middle. You gotta bypass the thing that makes sense. If let's say your goal is to have a wife or a husband, don't wait for the woman or the man to appear in your life. Jump straight to the conclusion where you already feel happy, where you already feel cherished, where you already feel loved. And it's only then that version of yourself that will talk to you through intuition on how to get towards one in the middle. The problem is you're stuck in the middle. Once you're stuck in the middle, you're always gonna be lost. You're always gonna question life. You're always gonna be like, why it's never working out for me? But if you jump straight to the conclusion, if you feel the emotion of the version of yourself that already has everything, God will talk to you through intuition. And it's only from there that you can start to take action. And you will get what you think you need in the middle. And sometimes you don't even need what's in the middle. God will bring you back straight to the destination. This is how you see people that have barely little to no requirements still get a job. This is how you see people that you think that they're absolutely not qualified for the position they're in, but they're still there. And it's because they were able to tap into the emotion. You gotta understand that God bypassed all logic. And Jesus was teaching this his whole life. He wanted people to understand it. But instead, people were just focusing on how good of a person he was, not knowing that there was another side to it, which was reality creation. Well, let's say you want a successful business. You may think that you need this amount of clients. You may think that you need to hire better people or even fire some. Well, the only way you're gonna know if those are the right thing is by bypassing them. Don't think about it. Think straight to the version of yourself that already has a successful business, and watch your intuition will automatically guide you on what to do in the middle. Simple as that. When you focus on the middle, you will stay there. But if you always focus on the end goal, in one way or another, through intuition, God will find a way for you to reach the final destination. This is your fourth dimensional world. This is the perfect world you want. And you're waiting for the thing in the middle to validate you to go there. But that's not how it works. You gotta jump straight there and feel the emotion. Couple examples of emotion you would feel upon attaining whatever you want in your life is peace, joy, and gratitude. You need to consistently feel peaceful, joyful, and always be grateful. That's how you tweak your subconscious mind through emotion. As soon as you tweak the subconscious mind, remember what we talked about in the first principles, you're gonna reach the superconscious. As soon as you reach the superconscious, God will talk to you through intuition. How do you get access to intuition? By being still and knowing the existence of God. 30 minutes, do nothing, and then wait for intuition to come. As soon as your intuition comes, you can start to take action, and then from there, reality will eventually shift. But if you stay here, if you decide to not feel those emotions, even if you have nothing, trust me, you're gonna stay there. You're gonna stay in the third dimensional world. And that's where you don't wanna be. You wanna change your third dimensional world. The only way you change your third dimensional world is you go to the fourth dimension, where Jesus was preaching all the time. Feel peace, joy, gratitude 24/7. That's your only way. Once negativity comes into your life, sit with it. Don't run from it. Don't distract yourself from it. Immerse yourself into the negativity until it dissipates. As soon as it dissipates, now you're on the way to the fourth dimension where the world is perfect. And it's only from there that you're going to get the message on how to perfect your third dimension. Simple as that. Reality creation is so simple. Even when I was studying metaphysics, neuroscience, behavioral science, it was so complicated. But it was worth it though. But the conclusion is this: it doesn't get more complicated. The reason, once you tap into like those knowledge of reality creation and you see a lot of graphs, a lot of like numbers, letters, complication, is because society do not want you to understand this. Because if you really do understand this, you're gonna realize how much power you have. And imagine all of us, we all become like successful in whatever we want and we all unite. Don't you really think that we're gonna be able to change the world? But yeah, it boils down to this. One more thing. When Jesus was with the sea, with his disciples, they were fishing all day, but they couldn't find nothing. And then Jesus said, cast your net on the right side of the boat and you will have plenty of fish. So they did cast their net on the right side of the boat and they got plenty of fish. Here, Jesus is just talking about the two brain side you have. You have a left side and a right side. Your left side is the one that is logical and rational. Your right side is the one that is emotional. So Jesus is telling you here, tap into emotion 24/7 in order for you to get plenty of fish. And plenty of fish can mean relationship, business, money, friends, luck, whatever you want. Literally, you need to tap into the emotion. You need to feel the emotion that those stuff will bring you. And that's the only way those stuff will appear into your life. You gotta bypass the how. Every time you ask yourself how, God knows it, not you. Your mind is limited. God's mind is unlimited. And when you're asking yourself when, the subconscious mind only understands the present. That's why saying I will be rich or I will have a relationship will never work. Because you're projecting into the future. And the subconscious mind will always project that in the future, which means you will keep chasing it without never having it. That's why you need to say, I am now. The Bible is always emphasizing this. it always says I am, I am, I am. The reason is because the subconscious mind only know the present. So you ask yourself when, decide that it is now. So that's how you bypass the when. The way you bypass the how, God knows, not you. And that's it. That's how reality creation works. That's how you use principles from the Bible to completely change your life. If you still need help after this, link in the description. If not, go practice. And don't forget to take a screenshot.